Throughout human history, we have been captivated by one haunting question: how will it all end? From ancient prophecies carved into stone tablets to modern scientific predictions backed by data and research, the concept of an apocalypse has fascinated, terrified, and inspired humanity across every culture and generation. But what exactly is the apocalypse? Is it a single catastrophic event, a gradual decline, or something we might never see coming? Let's explore this enigma that has shaped religions, influenced cultures, and continues to captivate our collective imagination. Understanding the apocalypse word apocalypse comes from the ancient Greek word apokalypsis, which means unveiling or revelation. Interestingly, it doesn't inherently mean destruction or the end of the world. Instead, it originally referred to the revealing of hidden knowledge or truth. Over time, however, the term has become synonymous with catastrophic endings, largely due to its association with biblical texts, particularly the Book of Revelation in the Christian Bible. But the apocalypse means different things to different people. For some, it's a religious or spiritual event that marks the end of one age and the beginning of another. For others, it's a scientific inevitability, whether through climate change, asteroid impact, or the eventual death of our sun. And for many, it represents our deepest fears about human nature, that we might destroy ourselves through war, disease, or technological advancement gone wrong. What makes the apocalypse such an enduring concept is that it touches on fundamental human concerns. We worry about our survival, the survival of our loved ones, and the legacy we leave behind. The idea of everything ending forces us to confront questions about meaning, purpose, and what truly matters in life. In some ways, thinking about the end helps us understand how we should live in the present. Ancient visions of the end. Our ancestors were deeply concerned with how the world would end, and they created elaborate mythologies to explain it. The ancient Norse people believed in Ragnarok, a series of events including a great battle that would result in the death of major gods, natural disasters, and the submersion of the world in water. But even in this dark vision, there was hope. The world would resurface anew, fertile and green, and the surviving gods would rebuild. The ancient Mayans had a complex understanding of time as cyclical rather than linear. Their famous long count calendar, which completed a major cycle on December 21, 2012, sparked worldwide panic among those who misunderstood it as a doomsday prediction. In reality, the Mayans viewed it as the end of one era and the beginning of another, much like how we view the transition from one year to the next. But on a grander scale, in Hindu cosmology, the universe goes through endless cycles of creation and destruction. Each cycle lasts billions of years and is divided into 4 ages, with the current age Kali Yuga being the age of darkness and moral decline. Eventually, the god Shiva will perform his cosmic dance of destruction, clearing the way for Brahma to create the universe anew. This cyclical view removes some of the finality and terror from the concept of an ending. The ancient Greeks told stories of ages of man, from the golden age of peace and prosperity to the iron age of toil and misery. The Roman poet Ovid wrote about how each age declined from the previous one, with humanity moving further from divine perfection. This idea of gradual decline rather than sudden catastrophe is another way humans have conceptualized the end. What's remarkable about these ancient visions is how they reflect the concerns and values of their cultures. Warrior societies like the Norse emphasized a battlefield end. Agricultural societies worried about natural disasters that would destroy crops, and philosophical traditions questioned whether endings were truly final or simply transitions to something new. Religious perspectives on the end times. Religious traditions around the world have developed intricate doctrines about the end times, and these beliefs continue to influence billions of people today. In Christianity, the Book of Revelation describes a series of catastrophic events, including plagues, wars, and the rise of the Antichrist, culminating in the second coming of Christ and the final judgment. Different Christian denominations interpret these prophecies in various ways, some literally, others metaphorically. The concept of the rapture, particularly popular among evangelical Christians, suggests that believers will be taken up to heaven before the worst tribulations occur on earth. This idea has inspired countless books, movies, and theological debates about the signs of the times and whether we're living in the last days. In Islamic the end times are marked by the appearance of the Mahdi Redeemer figure, the return of Jesus, and the battle against the Dajjal, a false Messiah figure. The day of judgment will then arrive, when all souls will be resurrected and judged based on their deeds. Like Christianity, Islam emphasizes both the terrifying aspects of judgment and the promise of paradise for the faithful. Judaism has a more diverse range of beliefs about the end times, but many traditions speak of the coming of the Messiah who will usher in an era of peace, rebuild the temple in Jerusalem, and gather the Jewish people back to their homeland. Some interpretations are more spiritual, focusing on humanity's moral improvement rather than cosmic catastrophe. Buddhism, with its focus on teaches that everything that arises must eventually cease, including the universe itself. However, Buddhist eschatology is generally less concerned with apocalyptic events and more, focused on individual enlightenment and breaking free from the cycle of rebirth. These religious perspectives share some common themes: a sense that history is moving toward a climactic point, that human behavior has consequences on a cosmic scale, and that some form of justice or reckoning awaits. They provide believers with a framework for understanding suffering, mortality, and the meaning of existence. Whether or not these prophecies are literally true, they reveal deep truths about human hopes and fears. Scientific scenarios for the end, while religious and mythological accounts focus on supernatural or spiritual causes. Science offers its own sobering predictions about how Earth and humanity might meet their end. Some of these scenarios are distant future concerns, while others feel uncomfortably immediate. The most certain apocalypse is also the most distant. In approximately 5 billion years, our sun will exhaust its hydrogen fuel and expand into a red giant, likely engulfing Mercury, Venus, and possibly Earth. Long before that happens, increasing solar radiation will make Earth uninhabitable. But this timeline is so vast that it's hard to comprehend. Humanity and all our civilizations will likely be unrecognizable, or extinct long before then. More immediate is the threat of asteroid impact. 66 million years ago, an asteroid roughly 6 miles wide struck Earth, creating a global catastrophe that wiped out the dinosaurs and 75% of all species. We know such impacts are possible because they've happened before. Scientists actively track near-Earth objects. And while the risk of a civilization-ending impact in any given century is small, it's not zero. Unlike most apocalyptic scenarios, this is one we could potentially prevent with enough warning and technological advancement. Climate change represents a different kind of apocalypse, not a single event, but a gradual transformation that could make much of Earth uninhabitable. Rising temperatures, extreme weather events, sea level rise, and ecosystem collapse could trigger mass migration, resource wars, and the breakdown of social order. While climate change is unlikely to cause human extinction, it could lead to a civilizational collapse that would feel apocalyptic to those living through it. Supervolcanic eruptions, like the one at Yellowstone, approximately 640,000 years ago, could blanket the atmosphere with ash, blocking sunlight and causing a volcanic winter that would devastate agriculture and potentially trigger mass starvation. Evidence suggests such eruptions occur roughly every 6 years, putting us within the possible time frame for another event. Pandemics have shaped human history, and the COVID-19 pandemic reminded us how vulnerable we remain to novel diseases. While modern medicine has tools our ancestors lacked, globalization means diseases can spread faster than ever before. A pathogen with high transmissibility and lethality, whether naturally evolved or engineered, could potentially cause societal collapse even if it didn't drive humanity to complete extinction. Perhaps most unsettling are the apocalyptic scenarios we might create ourselves. Nuclear weapons remain capable of causing nuclear winter, a scenario where smoke and debris from nuclear explosions block sunlight, causing global cooling and agricultural failure. Artificial intelligence, if developed without proper safeguards, could pose existential risks. Biotechnology might enable the creation of devastating biological weapons. And nanotechnology, in nightmare scenarios, could lead to self-replicating machines consuming all available resources. Cultural impact and popular apocalypse. Apocalypse isn't just a religious or scientific concerns, become a dominant theme in popular culture. Post-apocalyptic fiction has exploded in popularity, from novels to films to video games. Why are we so drawn to stories about the end of the world? Part of the appeal is the opportunity to imagine ourselves in extreme situations. Post-apocalyptic narratives often focus on survival, stripping away the complexities of modern life and reducing existence to fundamental questions. Can I find food and water? Can I protect my loved ones? Who can I trust? There's something compelling about imagining how we'd cope when all the structures of civilization fall away. These stories also serve as social commentary. George Orwell's 1984 and Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale use apocalyptic or dystopian settings to critique totalitarianism and fundamentalism. Films like The Day After Tomorrow and Contagion dramatize scientific concerns about climate change and pandemics. Zombie apocalypses often serve as metaphors for consumerism, conformity, or social breakdown. By showing us worlds gone wrong, these stories prompt us to consider what we value and what we want to preserve or change in our own society. Video games, like The Last of Us and Fallout series, let players actively engage with post-apocalyptic scenarios, making moral choices and experiencing the consequences. The popularity of survival games reflects a desire to test ourselves against extreme challenges and to experience agency in situations where the stakes are life and death. Interestingly, many apocalyptic stories include elements of hope. They show human resilience, communities coming together, and the possibility of rebuilding. Even in the darkest scenarios, there's often a message that something of humanity, our compassion, creativity, or capacity for love survives. Perhaps we need apocalyptic fiction not because we want the world to end, but because we want to believe we could survive and remain human if it did. Psychological dimensions of apocalyptic thinking. Why do humans spend so much time thinking about the end of the world? Psychologists suggest several explanations. First, there's the basic human need to understand mortality. We know we will die, but contemplating the death of everything, our families, our cultures, our species, our planet, is a way of grappling with mortality on a cosmic scale. Apocalyptic thinking can also provide a sense of meaning and urgency. If we believe we're living in uniquely important times, it elevates our own existence. Every generation tends to believe it's living in the end times, which might reflect a psychological need to feel that our lives occur during a pivotal moment in history rather than being just one generation among countless others. There's also a paradoxical comfort in apocalyptic beliefs. When the world feels chaotic and incomprehensible, the idea that events are building toward a predetermined end can feel reassuring. It suggests there's a plan, even if that plan involves catastrophe. This might explain why apocalyptic religious movements often gain followers during times of social upheaval and uncertainty. For some people, apocalyptic thinking serves as a form of empowerment. Preppers who stockpile supplies and learn survival skills feel they're taking control of their destiny. Activists who warn about climate change or nuclear weapons see their apocalyptic concerns as motivation for action. Believing in an approaching disaster can be energizing if you think you can prevent it or prepare for it. However, apocalyptic thinking has a dark side. It can lead to fatalism if the end is inevitable. Why bother trying to improve things? It can justify extremism. This is truly the final battle between good and evil. Any action can be rationalized, and it can cause unnecessary anxiety, particularly in children who don't yet have the cognitive tools to distinguish between remote possibilities and immediate threats. Mental health professionals note that apocalyptic anxiety has increased in recent years, particularly among young people concerned about climate change. Finding a balance between acknowledging real threats and maintaining hope and agency is crucial for psychological well-being. Living with the apocalypse. So, how do we live in a world where apocalyptic scenarios, both real and imagined, loom over us? Perhaps the first step is distinguishing between genuine risks and unfounded fears. Not every apocalyptic prediction deserves equal concern. Some threats, like climate change or nuclear proliferation, are backed by solid evidence and require urgent attention. Others, like ancient prophecies tied to specific dates, have consistently failed to materialize. Second, we can recognize that many apocalyptic scenarios are not inevitable. Human ingenuity has repeatedly solved problems that seemed insurmountable. We've eradicated diseases, averted nuclear war during the Cold War, and begun the transition to renewable energy. The future isn't written, and our choices matter. This perspective empowers us to take action rather than succumbing to despair. Third, we might embrace the wisdom found in various philosophical traditions that teach us to focus on what we can control. We can't prevent the sun from eventually dying or guarantee that a rogue asteroid won't strike tomorrow. But we can be good to the people around us, work to improve our communities, and contribute to addressing the challenges our species faces. We can live with intention and purpose regardless of how much time humanity has left. The paradox of the apocalypse is that contemplating the end can actually help us live better in the present. When we consider that everything we know might someday cease to exist, it can make us more grateful for what we have now. It can motivate us to resolve conflicts, express love, create beauty, and seek justice. After all, if this might be humanity's only chance, shouldn't we make it count? The Enigma remains despite thousands of years of predictions, prophecies, and scientific projections. The apocalypse remains an enigma. We don't know if humanity will end with a bang or a whimper, through external catastrophe or self-destruction, suddenly or gradually. We don't know if we have millions of years ahead or mere decades. We don't know if some remnant of humanity will survive to rebuild or if we'll vanish entirely, leaving Earth to recover without us. Perhaps that uncertainty is the point. The apocalypse represents the ultimate unknown, the final mystery. It forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge and control. No matter how much we plan, predict, or prepare, we cannot escape the fundamental uncertainty of existence. But in that uncertainty lies possibility. If the end isn't predetermined, then neither is the future. Every choice we make as individuals, communities, and a species shapes what comes next. Whether humanity meets an apocalypse or continues for eons depends partly on forces beyond our control and partly on the choices we make today. The enigma of the apocalypse isn't just about when or how things will end. It's about what we do with the time we have, how we treat each other and our planet, and what we hope to leave behind. It's about finding meaning in a finite existence and courage in the face of uncertainty. And perhaps most importantly, it's about recognizing that every day we wake up without an apocalypse is a gift, a chance to love, learn, create, and make our brief moment in cosmic history matter. The world has not ended yet. Despite countless predictions, tomorrow, it probably won't end either. But someday, somehow, there will be an ending of some kind. Until then, we have work to do, beauty to appreciate, and each other to care for. Maybe that's the real revelation hidden in the how it all ends, but how we should live while it continues. If you found this exploration thought-provoking, please follow our channel for more deep dives into humanity's biggest questions. Don't forget to like this content and share it with others who enjoy pondering life's mysteries. Your support helps us continue creating content that challenges, inspires, and expands our understanding of the world and our place in it. Thank you for reading, and remember,